Hi everyone. In this video, in this conversation, I'm going to talk about study abroad for middle high school students, especially for Canada as a destination, and about the opportunities for Italian students related to boarding schools. And I'm going to talk about this with Mrs. Nicole Hynes, Director of Admissions of Ashbury College in Ottawa, Canada. So thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So before we start going into the real conversation, I would say, would you mind to introduce yourself?
Sure, absolutely. So as she mentioned, my name is Nicole Hynes. I am the Director of Admissions at Ashbury College. I have been here for 8 years. Ashbury is a grade 4 through 12 Canadian school, and we offer boarding from grade 9 through 12. We are an Ontario school as well as an IB school. We're located in the capital of Canada, Ottawa, which is a wonderful city, very multicultural. And often we have students that come for our boarding program for either 1 to 4 years. So sometimes we have students that come for a 1-year experience here, and then we have students that come for their whole high school experience.
Yeah, and I have to mention that I visited the school, I think it was last year, with guys for the school fun trip, and I found it amazing, really nice, very nice atmosphere. So I can say it's first like direct experience that my impression was really good. The aim of this conversation is to go through the main topics of questions that parents and students ask me when it comes to boarding schools. Because in Italy, we don't really have boarding schools, except a few cases which are not really boarding schools, not in the traditional way. So, for example, students ask what they should expect from a typical school day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll focus on the boarding student experience. We have about 111 boarding students on campus here. So a typical day, students would attend breakfast in our beautiful cafeteria. Then they're off to classes from around 8:15 to 3:15. And then after school, we run sports and clubs. So depending on what the students want to do, we have over 70 different options of different sports, competitive, non-competitive, or clubs that students can get involved in. After that ends around 5:30. Students will attend dinner in our dining hall, which is very popular for our students because we try to appeal to all the dietary types. And then students will head back to their residence and they'll do what we call prep or study hall. And that's from around 7 to 9 p.m. where students are at their desks doing their homework. And then from 9 to 10, students are welcome to go out on the field. And then we also open the fitness center and the gymnasium for students to kind of get some exercise. And then they're back in the house around 10 to kind of wind down for the night, get ready for bed. And then they would have a lights out time depending on what grade they are in.
Okay. What changes during the weekends for boarders again?
Yeah. Oh gosh, weekends are really fun here. Some boarding schools in Canada might have classes on Saturday, depending on the school, but we do not. So weekends are the students' free time. So what we will do is we will offer some activities that are run by Ashbury College and the boarding staff. So maybe we'll go paintballing. We're also very lucky to have a ski hill that is 20 minutes away from our campus. Maybe we'll go skiing, or maybe we'll do a weekend trip to a local city that's nearby. So we run our own activities, but students are also free to use this city as their backyard. So we are located in a very safe neighborhood in Ottawa, but Ottawa is also a nice small city with really easy public transit that students are welcome to take. So we actually teach them on their first weekend here how to use our school bus, and they can take that picks them up right behind our campus and takes them to the Parliament buildings, or being the capital of Canada, we have museums around. They can go out for dinner. They can go out for a movie. Maybe they want to go watch a sporting event. Or maybe they just want to hang out with some of their day friends, because we do have a very international population here, as we're surrounded by the diplomatic community here in Rockcliffe. So there's lots for students to do, whether it's on campus or off campus on the weekends. And we simply ask that they work with their boarding staff to ask permission, as they would with their parents, to attend events. So they do have a later check-in time in the evenings. So it's really nice for them to have that freedom and to use the city as their backyard here in Ottawa.
Yeah, and well, you mentioned, and I remember that, of course, the neighborhood where the school is located is a very international neighborhood because there are lots of like international offices, and so I think sometimes students and parents are afraid that there's no integration between day students and boarding students, like, or maybe we're just a few of us staying during the weekends. I suppose that's not the case.
Yeah, so we recognize that, and so we try to run activities on the evenings and weekends that invite day students to campus too. So we might have an event each year like Monte Carlo, which is a really cool kind of casino night on campus that the students will run for each other that brings them all together. But a lot of the time, the day students will also invite the boarding students over to their house because we are in a unique location in Ottawa, being the capital. Our campus is surrounded by the diplomatic homes and communities, and it also brings in a lot of diversity into our student body. And so we have students from over 50 to 60 countries each year that attend our school. So they really do congregate in the neighborhood as well. So it's really nice to see them on campus on the weekend, not just the boarding students, but also the day students.
Yeah. When it comes to parents, at least Italian parents, one of the big question is support, meaning both academic support, personal support, generally speaking, like also probably psychological support. So can we discuss this, probably separating academic and personal support the way you prefer? I mean,
absolutely. So academically, what's really nice about Ashbury is we recognize the importance of small class sizes. So our average class size is 16 students. So that allows the teacher in the class to work with the students. We also have very supportive faculty and staff that do extra help sessions as well. For instance, at lunch every day, there's always a math teacher in the specific math classroom because often that's an area where students need help. So every single day, students know they can get math help. Those students are also all assigned a TAG advisor. So it's called a teacher advisor group. So students are with an advisor, one of our faculty and staff, for their full time at Ashbury, and they meet with them 1 to 2 times a week for whether it is emotional or academic or just to touch base. They're that consistent person for their whole time here that supports their well-being and knows them the best. If we have students that are struggling academically, we have learning strategists that are on staff as well, who will help students with their academics. If a student has an IEP or accommodation plan, we have alternative testing locations, and the learning strategist will work with them to support them as well. When it comes to this like social emotional well-being side of boarding, we have very supportive boarding staff, and we also have a nurse that lives on campus. So if a student is sick, we have a 24-hour nurse available for emergencies, which is really helpful. And then we also have during the day a school counselor, so works with that mental health side of things. So that's something that we added after COVID as we recognize the importance of mental health. And those two people, the nurse and the school counselor, also run activities or meetings with our boarding community as well. So if a student is homesick, for instance, it's always difficult to leave home from your family to come to a new country, and we recognize that. So there is somebody there to support. And we also recognize that big change for students. And so we also run a boarding council. So we have student leaders who are supportive of their wings, so how our dormitories are organized as they are in wings. And you would have a boarding council member who does training, and then they also are called wing leaders. So they are leaders in the boarding program. And then we also do boarding buddies, so like a big brother, big sister program, who reaches out in the summer to help you feel prepared and feel like you know somebody before you arrive on campus. So we always recognize, being an international school in general on our day and boarding side, the importance of student integration into a new community.
Yeah, that's it's kind of a net. Like I use this word sometimes with parents. It's like, because as I said, we don't have boarding schools in Italy, and day schools are really non-supportive sometimes. So it's just, you have the teacher, you have the master, that's it. So I try to have students and families understanding that it's not that everyone works on his own, like everyone in the schools is part of something which is aimed to the well-being of the student. Like if the students succeed academically, personally, it's the school that succeed. And if it fails or if something that doesn't go well, it's the overall community responsibility to see what's going on and to try and solve it or support it.
Absolutely. And we also offer tutors, whether they're from us, we'll help find a tutor if we don't offer that tutor. And then we also run students teaching students program where students get volunteer hours to support each other academically. So even the students are supportive of one another here.
Yeah. What about those students who stay probably more than 1 year in order to complete the education, like take the diploma and go to university or select a career, which is the support that they have about this?
Yeah, so if a student starts at Ashbury in grade 9 or 10, we actually do start working with them that early because the Ontario curriculum offers a course called Civics and Careers. So it gets them thinking about what they want to do, where they want to go to school. And it's really important to start thinking about that towards at least the end of your grade 10, because when you pick grade 11 courses here in Canada, you have to have certain courses for certain programs you want to go to university for. And so that's a course that a lot of students will take in grade 9 or grade 10 to kind of get them prepared. So they'll even have to write a resume and do an interview in that course, but it gets them thinking about it. And then in grade 11, we start to have meetings with the students as well, because we have 2 university counselors on staff that are experienced with working with Canadian, but also international universities as well. So they're well prepared, and they'll host meetings throughout the year where students, as well as their tag advisor, will attend. So the tag advisors support the students because they stay with them their whole time. They'll also support them in their university pursuits. So we also, at the beginning of the year for grade 12, in your grade 12 year, you're really starting your applications at the beginning of the year. Our school counselors are very supportive and very communicative of deadlines. But the first week of school at Ashbury, all students in high school go to camp, whether it's grade 9, 10, 11, or 12. They're just different type camps. But for grade 12, they actually do university visits. So students can sign up to go to local ones here. They're mostly Canadian universities, but at least it gets kids thinking about where they want to go to school. And often students who come to Canada want to stay, but every year we have a handful of students that want to go internationally, and we have a handful that'll attend schools in the US, the UK, all over the world really each year. We have international students all over the world. Ashbury is a global school at this point.
Yeah. One question that came to my mind is because you said something about, of course, all the activities related to university preparation that start from year 9 and 10. So one of the things with Italian students sometimes is that, especially because they are used to know about a friend who went to a day school somewhere in the US and Canada for 1 year, grade 12, and they got the diploma. And sometimes they say, Antonella, why I cannot apply for boarding schools for 1 year only? And well, I know the answer, of course. The answer is that a good preparation doesn't come in 1 year only. What would be your answer? Why it's better to apply for at least a couple of years?
Yeah, if you think about it just as simply, we all move. We've all moved likely in our lives. It takes a year to adjust to a new place. And so when students, we don't often take applications for grade 12 because students are now coming to a new country, potentially learning a new language. They arrive here, it's a new culture, it's a big adjustment, you're away from home, and then you're applying to universities on top of your really important academics. And Ashbury is known to be a really strong academic school. And so sometimes we find students coming from different backgrounds may not quite have the understanding of the academic rigor that happens here. And so we always think about what's the best experience for the student. And for a student to come here and they have a hard time, that is not the experience we're looking for. We want them to have a year to adjust to the school community, to understand the academics, because you don't want to come to a new school and your grades are lower than you expected. It's just not the best experience. We have had it happen, don't get me wrong, and students have thrived. But in general, it's a big adjustment. So we often encourage students for grade 11, grade 9, 10, or 11. Also because we offer the IB program, it's an option. And if students want to go to school abroad, whether it's outside of Canada or the US, often they'll take the IB diploma, which is a 2-year program. So it's grade 11 and 12. So that's also important because it's really hard as different schools teach the IB program differently for students from another IB school to transfer to another one. Different teachers teach curriculum differently. So it's just a better experience for your child to come and experience Canada. That's also often what families are looking for, is this new experience. And so they can spend a year learning about the culture, experiencing, instead of so focused on academics.
Yeah. And also because you said before that there are lots of activities done in terms of career and university support application. I mean, if you come later, not just to Ashbury, generally speaking, to good preparatory boarding schools, just waste time in the sense of you cannot take advantage of all these opportunities because you arrive in August and then bam, in October, there are already the university applications to send. And you have no time to think about it. You have no time to get ready, to add extracurricular activities, to visit universities. You said before you bring students to visit universities, there's no time for that. So that's the point. That's one of the points too, I think. I don't know, what do you think about it?
Yeah, and I think most boarding schools in Canada are like that. And so at least I believe most CAIS, which is Canadian Accredited Independent Schools, those are the recognized by CAIS as an overseeing body that accredits the top boarding schools and private schools in Canada. So many CAIS schools often recommend not applying for grade 12 as well, not just Ashbury. It's just a very difficult transitional year. And maybe in the beginning of grade 12, you find out you want to apply to this program, but you now don't have the credit that's required. At least after grade 11, you could take a summer school program to catch up. So always, grade 11 is a great year to come. Grade 9, grade 10, they're also great years. But we also understand sometimes kids don't want to leave home until grade 11. So it is always recommended to come at least a year earlier than grade 12.
Yeah. Another funny, not so funny question. Of course, maybe you know that US is a popular destination for among, well, all over the world, students, Italian as well. Sometimes might be, Canada doesn't come immediately to their mind when it comes to good education, boarding school experience, 1 year abroad, and so on. So what would you say is so special, why they should select Canada as a destination for their studies?
Yeah. That's a great question, because I actually attended boarding school in Connecticut. But looking back now, Canada is actually recognized as a really strong education system in general, our public system. And so when you look at assessment scores, so we look at this test called PISA, which is the Performance for International Student Assessment. And it assesses students in English, math, and science, and it compares them from around the world. Canada is ranked second in English-speaking countries for our academic program. And so that just shows the strength of our general curriculum. And at Ashbury, we teach above and beyond the general curriculum. So the kids are really coming because they are academically focused and they know the reputation, in particular, Ontario. Ontario is the strongest curriculum in Canada. So people are coming here because of our academic program. That's what Ashbury is known for, is our strong academics. We are the second school in Canada to offer the International Baccalaureate program, which is also an option. So students can graduate with an Ashbury Independent School Diploma, a Ontario Secondary School Diploma, an IB Diploma. They could also just simply do IB certificates in specific subjects. And then we also offer a French bilingual certificate as well. So there's lots of different options for students. We have a lot of different course options. What's also unique specifically about Ashbury, and we touched on this a little bit, but it's our location. So I can almost look out my window right now and see the Prime Minister's residence. So it's a 5-minute walk from here. So we also have the Pope's House, which is located in our area as well. So it's a very, very safe location, which I know is important for families. They want to make sure that their students are coming to a really safe community where they'll be living. We also are known to have some of the best boarding facilities in Canada. It's so funny. I never thought I would talk about bathrooms so much, but each room has its own bathroom and they have their own fridge. So they come here and everything is provided for them. They simply need to bring a suitcase. We have a linen program. They have fridges in their room and everything is ready for them when they arrive. But the city is also a really unique opportunity. So some boarding schools in Canada have a beautiful country landscape. We're in the city, so students that enjoy the independence can go and take the public bus. So they're allowed to use the city as their backyard. It's a nice small city, about 1 million people, and it's also very international. So you'll hear multiple languages being spoke around all of the city, and students really enjoy that. There's all kinds of restaurants with different types of food and cultural events, being the capital, the museums. There's so much to see and do just in the city alone. But what we're really known for is that academic program that we offer. We have very successful university placement rate. 100% of graduates go to university. 86% get their first choice, and around 90% of our graduates got an entrance scholarship, showing the strength of the reputation of our school and the academic program.
Yeah, the scholarship part is, thank you for mentioning that, because it's important. Sometimes families might be concerned that what happens to me, like, okay, you get a diploma abroad, let's say Canada, and then university will be expensive. But that's what I say, if school is a very good school and they not only guarantee you that you apply and succeed and to be accepted to a very good university, but also you will much probably get also a scholarship for university. So they can, I mean, they don't have to expect to pay the full fees forever for universities, because that's also the value in a good preparatory school, that you can get the best opportunities. And in a way, you can also save money later. So.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. It is important.
I forget it myself sometimes. So, I will say that the last question is, well, think about it if you like. Which are the 3 keywords that you will use to summarize the experience a student can get attending your school?
Yeah, so what Ashbury is known for is our academics. We really are known as one of the strongest academic schools in Canada. We are very diverse. We are an Ontario Canadian school, but we are also an international school because of our location in the nation's capital. So students love to come here and they feel that they belong, and that's important to us. So that's one of our strategic plans, is pluralism and making an inclusive environment for our students. Our facilities are some of the best in Canada. When people come and visit our campus, as you did, you get to see the beautiful boarding facilities as well as our popular academic program buildings as well. So we just built a $10 million science center because about 40% of our graduates go into science. Yeah, so our location as well. So those are kind of the top 4. Our academics, our diversity and facilities, university and academic strength, our location, and our boarding facilities. So that's kind of
3 keywords are never enough. I know.
No, you have to add the extra 4.
I know 3 keywords are never enough. Yeah. Okay. I think we are almost at the end of the conversation. So thank you very much for your time and for telling me and parents and students everything about the school. I'm sure they will find it useful. And I remind to families that for more information about Ashbury College and the boarding school experience in Canada, they can book a consultation with me, and we can also organize a shared consultation, like a meeting online with you as well. And then we'll find our contacts on the video description, and we'll see them next time, next video. And thank you again for now.
Hi, you're welcome. We're always happy to help. And the last note I want to say is often we enroll a year in advance. So we encourage families, and most boarding schools will be on a rolling rotation. So the sooner you apply.
Yeah. Good to say it. At least 1.5 years before, even earlier, possibly even earlier.
Like in September, we'll start accepting applications for the following year.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
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 All
Thanks.
right. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.